The Woman in the Poppies. My name is Ethan Morrow, and this happened 3 years ago when I was 15. I grew up in a small English village called Renfield Hollow, the kind of place where the loudest sound at night is the wind brushing against the hedges. Everyone knows everyone, and nothing ever really happens there. At least, that's what I used to think. My two best friends were Liam and Connor. We'd known each other since we could walk, spent every summer riding bikes down dirt roads, and every winter building fires in the woods. Renfield didn't have much for teenagers, so we made our own adventures. That was how the night of the poppy field happened. Liam lived on the edge of the valley, where his family ran a small farm surrounded by forest. His parents were out of town that weekend, so he invited us over. He said we could camp out near the woods, play music, and drink a little without anyone caring. It sounded harmless enough, just another late-night hangout. We set up a small campfire by the trees. The air smelled of smoke and damp earth, and crickets hummed all around us. Connor sat cross-legged, nursing a soda. Liam grinned like a maniac, raising a can of beer. "To freedom!" he shouted. "Freedom from what?" Connor muttered. "From boredom!" Liam laughed. The night was calm, the fire warm. I remember thinking how peaceful it felt, the kind of peace that comes before something awful. Around 3 in the morning, the laughter died down. Connor had fallen asleep inside the tent. I was lying in the hammock, half awake, when I heard it. A sound so faint I almost thought I imagined it. A woman's humming. It came from deep inside the forest, soft, slow, and sorrowful, like an old lullaby sung through tears. I sat up, my heart pounding. At first, I thought maybe it was the wind, but then I heard it again. I called out quietly, "Liam, you hear that?" He frowned and tilted his head. The humming carried again, clearer this time, definitely a woman. We both knew there were no houses for miles in that direction. Liam's mum was away. There shouldn't have been anyone out there. I saw fear flicker across his face, but he grabbed his phone anyway. "I'm checking it out," he said. I didn't want him going alone, so I followed. The trees closed in as we entered the forest. Our phone flashlights cut through the fog in narrow beams. Every sound, every crunch underfoot, echoed too loudly. The humming grew stronger. It wasn't random. It had rhythm, like a song. Then it stopped. That's when I saw her. About 20 feet ahead, between the trees, stood a woman. She wore a white dress stained with mud, her long black hair hanging over her face. Even from that distance, she looked wrong. Her body was too tall, her limbs slightly off, like something trying to imitate a person. And under the moonlight, her skin seemed to glow. Liam whispered, "Who the hell is that?" The woman turned her head slowly, as if she'd heard him. I swear her eyes caught the light. 2 pale, empty circles staring straight through us. Then she turned and began to walk away, still humming. Liam muttered, "We have to see who it is." "Liam, don't," I started, but he was already moving. Against my better judgment, I followed. She led us through the woods, moving gracefully, never slowing down. We pushed through branches and briars until we reached a small wooden bridge crossing a stream. The humming faded to a whisper as we stepped across. Beyond the bridge was a vast field of poppies, thousands of red flowers glowing faintly in the moonlight. It was breathtaking and eerie at the same time. The air smelled faintly sweet, like iron and smoke. "She's gone," Liam said, scanning the field. But the silence was worse than the humming. It was heavy, alive. We was wall, ked farther in, until we reached the center of the field. That's where we found it. A single tombstone, half buried in the dirt. At its base lay a white dress, identical to the one the woman had worn. I leaned closer and read the faded inscription, "In loving memory of Alara Renfield, taken from this world too soon, 1916. Liam whispered, "Renfield, same as the village." My mouth went dry. Before I could reply, the humming started again, this time right behind us. We turned around, and she was there, closer than before. Her face pale as bone, lips trembling as she hummed that same sorrowful tune. Her eyes, they were nothing but gray hollows, and yet I felt them pull at me, as if she wanted me to follow again. Then, without a sound, she pointed toward the tombstone and began to fade, her body dissolving like mist. We ran. Neither of us looked back. The forest tore at our clothes. The ground nearly tripped us, but we didn't stop until we burst out near the campsite. Connor was outside, pale and confused. "Where were you guys?" he asked. "We're leaving," Liam gasped. "Now." By morning, we told Liam's dad what happened. He didn't laugh. He just went still and quiet. "My grandfather," he said softly, "told me a story. A soldier who came home from the war half mad. They say he killed his wife in a poppy field. Her name was Alara. Her body was never found. He looked at us for a long time. 'You boys were lucky,' he said finally. 'She doesn't like being disturbed.' That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard it. That same lonely humming drifting through the dark, calling from somewhere deep in the woods." The humming follows. For days after that night, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed me home. At first, I tried to laugh it off, tell myself it was just the beer or the power of suggestion. But every night, when the house went quiet, I swore I could still hear that humming somewhere in the distance. It was faint, like the memory of a sound, but it always came from the dire, children of the forest. And it always started around 3 a.m. The first few nights I ignored it. I'd put my pillow over my ears, whisper a quick prayer, and force myself to sleep. But then small things started happening. My bedroom door, which I always kept shut, would be cracked open when I woke up. My desk chair once turned to face the window on its own. And then one night, I woke to find muddy footprints on the floor, thin, barefoot prints leading from the window to the door. I didn't tell my mom. She worked long hours at the care home, and the last thing she needed was to hear her son talk about ghosts. But I did text Liam. "Ethan, bro, something weird's happening." Liam: "Like what, Ethan?" "Mud on my floor. I keep hearing that song." Liam: "Stop joking, man." Ethan: "I'm not." He didn't reply for a while. Then he finally texted back. Liam: "Same here. Heard it last night outside my window." That message made my stomach drop. The next evening, we met at Connor's place. He hadn't experienced anything strange, but when we told him what was going on, he looked uneasy. "Maybe you both brought something back," he said. "Like what?" I asked. "Something that doesn't want to be forgotten." Liam gave a nervous laugh. "You make it sound like a curse." Connor didn't smile. "You said she pointed at the tombstone, right? Maybe she wanted you to remember her." That thought chilled me more than the cold night outside. 2 days later, I stayed late at Liam's farm. His dad had gone into town, and we decided to hang out in the barn, talk things through, maybe figure out what was happening. The barn smelled of hay and oil. Dust hung thick in the air, glowing in the slanting sunlight. We sat on overturned buckets, talking about the poppy field. "I don't get it," Liam said, pacing. "If she's just a ghost, why follow us?" "Maybe we woke her up," I said quietly. He stopped pacing. "Or Maul. I bet she wants something." That's when we both heard it. A soft hum drifting through the open barn door. We froze. It wasn't far away. It was inside the barn. I turned slowly. Between 2 stacks of hay bales, something white moved. The faint outline of a woman's figure. Her head tilted as she hummed that same sad tune. The temperature dropped instantly. My breath came out in pale fog. Liam's voice cracked. "No, no, no, no." We stumbled backward. The figure glided closer, her feet not touching the ground. Her face flickered in the dim light. Gray, hollow, her mouth moving without sound. Then the humming stopped. Silence pressed against my ears until I thought they'd burst. And then she screamed. It wasn't a human sound. It was sharp, echoing, like metal tearing through air. I felt it in my bones. Liam and I bolted for the door, sprinting across the yard until we were inside the house, slamming the door behind us. We didn't speak. For nearly 10 minutes, we just stood there, shaking, waiting for something else to happen. But nothing did. When Liam's father returned, we told him everything. He didn't seem surprised, just tired. He sat down heavily, rubbing his temples. "My grandfather," he said, "used to talk about her husband, the soldier. He came home from France after the war. They say he wasn't the same. He'd stare out at the fields for hours, humming the same song over and over. Then one night, he vanished too. He looked up at us. You didn't just see her. You woke the whole story." That night, I went home and tried not to think about it. But sometime after midnight, I woke to a sound that made my heart stop. It was the humming again, this time right outside my window. I sat up slowly. The curtains were half open. Outside, under the pale moonlight, stood a tall white figure facing my house. Her long hair moved with the wind, but she didn't. I couldn't breathe. Then her head turned sharply, and though her face was hidden in shadow, I knew she was looking straight at me. I jumped up, slammed the curtains shut, and pressed. I put my back against the wall. My heart felt like it was trying to punch its way out of my chest. After what felt like forever, the humming stopped. When morning came, I checked the ground outside. There were footprints, deep and wet, leading from the woods straight to my window. I didn't go back to the farm after that. Liam tried to call me, but I couldn't bring myself to answer. I started praying again before bed, something I hadn't done in years. But even that didn't help much, because every night, just as I was about to fall asleep, I'd hear it again, soft, gentle, and unbearably sad. The same lullaby, the same voice. And I knew deep down that Alara Renfield wasn't finished with us yet. The forgotten grave. For a while, I tried to convince myself it was over. Maybe she'd had her revenge. Maybe she'd found peace. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. The humming hadn't stopped. It just got smarter. It didn't come every night anymore, only when I was least expecting it. Sometimes I'd hear it faintly through the walls while brushing my teeth. Other times, it drifted from my phone speaker when no music was playing. It wasn't a haunting anymore, it was a message. One cold Thursday morning, Liam's mom called me. Her voice trembled through the line. "Abdul, Liam's gone." I didn't understand at first. Gone where? They found his car near the poppy field. The engine was still running. My stomach dropped. The last text I got from him was at 2:37 a.m. "Liam, she's calling again. I think I know what she wants." That was the last thing he ever sent. I drove to the field that afternoon. The road was the same, narrow, cracked, framed by dying trees. The poppies had withered into brown husks. His car was still there, sealed off with yellow tape. The driver's door was open, and the ground was a mess of footprints. I stepped closer and saw something half-burst eat in the dirt near the fence. A locket, its metal rusted and bent. Inside was a faded photo of a man in uniform, and a woman in a white dress holding his arm. Alara Renfield. The moment I touched it, a voice whispered behind me, "You shouldn't have come back." I spun around. No one was there, just the wind brushing the dead grass. But the air grew heavier, colder. I could smell rain though the sky was clear. Then I heard it. The humming, soft, close, inside my head. I ran toward the trees. I don't even know why. Maybe I thought I could find him. Maybe I thought I could end it. The forest swallowed me whole. The deeper I went, the less sound there was. No birds, no wind, nothing but the crunch of leaves under my boots. And then, through the fog, I saw it. A small clearing, the same one we'd seen that night. But it looked different now. The poppies had grown back, tall, red, alive, swaying even though the air was still. In the center of the clearing was a new grave marker, a crooked wooden cross with a name carved in shaky letters. Liam Hale. I froze. My mind refused to believe it. Someone had buried him, or something pretending to. Behind me, a voice hummed the lullaby again, the same tune that had haunted me for weeks. I turned slowly. She was standing there. Alara? Her white dress was soaked in mud, and her hair clung to her face like seaweed. But her eyes looked almost human, sad, tired. She didn't move toward me. She just stared, humming that same tune until her voice broke. Then she whispered, "He promised he'd come back, but none of them ever do." The ground trembled. The air around her shimmered, and I could see glimpses, flashes of memory. Soldiers marching through the field, explosions, a woman crying on her doorstep, waiting for a man who never returned. The humming turned into sobbing. I dropped to my knees. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I didn't mean to wake you." She looked at me with something like gratitude or pity. Then she turned toward the grave and began to fade, her form dissolving into drifting red petals. The last thing I heard before she vanished completely was a soft voice, almost like the wind. "Now he's home." When I woke up, it was morning. The field was quiet again. The poppies were gone. The grave marker had disappeared. No sign of Liam, no footprints, nothing. I stumbled back to the road, barely able to breathe. My hands were covered in dirt, my clothes damp with dew. When I checked my phone, there was a new message. Unknown number. She stopped humming. I don't know who sent it. I deleted it immediately, but sometimes I still think about it. It's been 3 months now. I moved away from that town. I changed my number. I deleted every photo from that night. But some nights, when the world goes quiet and the wind passes through the cracks of my window, I still hear a faint tune, like someone humming from far away. It's soft, almost peaceful, and I tell myself it's nothing, just the wind, just the memory.